It's Luke here of SimBoxx. I'd like this afternoon to be joined by rock and roller Chris Jenkins. Chris, it's always a pleasure. How are we doing?
I'm all good, mate. All good. Trained this morning with my strength and conditioner, Joel, and then keeping the mother-in-law happy now. Just doing a bit of decorating for her before I have a little cardio session this evening with my buddy Darren, who I call Hercules. We got a nice little run planned this evening while our children actually in training. So good.
Good to hear. Good to hear. And I see you've been decorating there, like you say, for the mother-in-law. So it's always important to keep the mother-in-law on side.
Brownie points, but no. Obviously, I don't speak to my parents. For a while. So for my wife to be able to come to my fights, fair play, my mother-in-law and father-in-law, Glenda and Colin, they look after them for the weekend. And, I can't thank them enough. This little thing I'm doing is just a thank you.
That's nice. It's nice to hear, Chris. Of course, we've had the recent announcement. You'll be headlining the Matchroom Next Gen card on the 18th of March, taking on the undefeated Cyrus Pattinson. Take us through the how this opportunity came around, Chris.
I actually had a text now for end of the year, early new year, of my manager, Mark Prayer, saying about a fight. And I didn't even see who it was. I just said yes. And it was meant to happen, but then they had to reschedule it. So we've had like an extra 4 or 5 week in camp. It's a fight that I'm confident in winning. I hold experience over him. The only thing he holds over me is he's a youth. But, the old dog's got to teach the young pup some lessons, I think.
We'll look forward to that. And, of course, he's Patterson is 5-0. He's undefeated. You say he's quite young. How much have you been able to go and look at Patterson's career so far with those 5 pro fights? Are you want to go back and have a look, Chris, at previous fights?
Yeah, obviously, you've got to do your homework. I do leave out the guy, to be honest with you. I've had a look. He's a very good southpaw. He seems to want to hit hard with every shot. I think that's his downfall. But, he's WBA Intercontinental Champion or something, or WBC. He's a champion already after 5 fights. So Matchroom are heavily backing him, and, they must be backing him to be the next world champion for the Northeast. And I've got to upset the apple cart.
Yeah, so we've seen that he's 5-0. Do you think this could be a case, and I mean this with all due respect, Chris, do you think this is a case of maybe Eddie Hearn, the matchmakers, Matchroom, looking at this and thinking that, you're on the slide, you've had a couple of losses recently in some big fights, and that this is a good name for Cyrus to have on his record, and that you might be a gatekeeper maybe? Do you look at it that way?
Yeah, mate, I'm not one to shy away from. I'm at the age of 34 now, 10 years pro. I've done a lot in this game, British Commonwealth, WBC prize fighter, all this. So yeah, he's probably thinking that. But I'm in the gym. I'm sparring with Keaton Jones. Really, really, really good southpaw, 7-0. Ben Crock, another lad, in 7-8-0. These are boys who are 5 to 10 years younger than me, and I'm more than capable of holding my own against them. So, I don't know. I know where I am in my career. I'm at the end of it now. I've probably got another year. But, we got to take it one fight at a time. And this fight, I'm taking like my world title fight.
Do you take like inspiration, if you like, from that? Maybe does it stoke the fire inside that you are being written off, that these not the outside pressure, you're obviously always going to put pressure on yourself to perform, but that maybe from the outside, all the pressure's on Cyrus Pattinson as the touted prospect, the home fighter. He's with the big promoters in Matchroom, and that takes the pressure off you. Does that add fuel to the fire?
Yeah, it does in a way, but my fuel is my children. So, you know what I mean? It's for me to provide not an amazing life for them, but if I can spoil them here and there from having these fights, then, I've got to be up there and winning fights.
Absolutely, absolutely. What do you think you bring to the table at this stage of your career against somebody like Cyrus Pattinson with that lack of professional experience that he's got? What can you expect to face in the ring against Chris Jenkins? We know that all action style, but yeah, in your words, Chris, what is he going to face in the ring on March 18th?
Obviously, I'm going to be going in that fight like I do any fight. We're going to see how it goes from round one. I can box, and everyone knows I can fight. Like in the last fight, we had a little toe-to-toe with Tyrone McKenna. So, let's go out there. So it was like first round. Keep me wits about me and try not to get caught like I done against Marku, because in that fight I learned to, when everything's going great, don't arrive. Like Ari said in the corner, like just keep boxing, don't bother with the feet, just do this, do that. But then me being thick, went in for a shot that weren't there, and I got caught. So, I've learned from that fight, and I'm going to take it into this fight.
Absolutely. So, in terms of, you mentioned there that you might only have a year, 12 months left of your career, 34 years of age. You're fully aware of where you're at. What's the mindset of Chris Jenkins now? You're going to go into this fight wanting to win, of course, but looking past that, maybe, are you just after the big fights now? We know a boxer's career is a small window and you've got to make as much money as you can before you get out.
Yeah.
Just to take any opportunity that comes along down the road for these final few months of your career?
That's exactly what it is, mate. No, I'd love to win this belt now. Come away with it. I'm not signed by anybody, not signed with Matchroom, Frank Warren, boxer, not signed by anyone. I haven't been signed since I lost against Echo Esselman. So I'm a free agent and I'll just fight anyone. Everyone knows that I'll take the fight.
Absolutely, absolutely. Just away from this fight, before our interview here, any excuse to go back and watch that fight with Tyrone McKenna? It was an absolute war. Chris, what was your thoughts on that result? I've seen it come into some controversy. Some people had you winning, some people had it a draw. Was you grieved at the result that it went to Tyrone McKenna?
I thought I won it, I thought I won it 6-4, but look, there's nothing you can do about it. Maybe if I was a younger person, lot less fights, I would have kicked that bro. But I've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly of this sport. And if you leave that get to you, then you're not going to get over it. I got children in the house. I'm married with 3 boys. I don't dwell on it. Obviously, I was upset and a bit pissed off. But look, it's boxing. We had people messaging me from Ireland thinking that they thought that I did win the fight. I had people in the crowd saying that they thought I won the fight. Myself and my team thought we won the fight. But look, I didn't get the decision. So, let's not cry over it. Let's just move on and see what's next. And this is what's come off that.
There's certain fights, Chris, when boxing gets it right, it gets really right, because there's so much in the modern game of politics getting in the way, broadcasters, different promotional companies stopping fights happening. But in your own right, between yourself and Tyrone McKenna, when that fight was made, I think a lot of boxing fans, media, pundits was like, this can only be a war, and it produced everything that it said it was going to produce. Exactly what it said on the tin kind of thing. How proud of yourself was you to be a part of a fight like that on a big event, great crowd? That's what you're in the sport of boxing for, I guess.
Well, that's it. I've had people from Ireland messaging me since. If they can just remember that fight. Or I was there when Tyrone had hell of a war against that Welsh lad. Oh my God, they were smashing up. So I know. That's why my children have watched it like, whoa, Dad, people local by me saying, oh, fair play, mate, we haven't lost it, we still got it. As long as I entertain the fans, the people who are paying tickets to come and watch the fights, they get entertained. I might not have won, but the crowd and night on their feet cheering after the final bell, and me and Tyrone went home healthy to our children, and that was the main thing.
Absolutely. Chris, you're at the stage of your career at 22 years of age. You're in camp with Gary Pocket. You have a great relationship with Gary. How is camp at this stage in terms of, do you find yourself tailoring things differently than you would maybe 5 years ago because of the stage that you're at? And are you doing things differently? Anything in particular that sticks out that you're doing differently at this point of your career?
No, we're working smarter, not harder, if you know what I mean. That's like as in road work, where like probably 5 years ago I was doing 15, 20, 30 mile a week on the road, so we're changing our up probably to the cross trainer, we're down here up the gym, then we're just working certain different things. And recovery is the main important thing, making sure I take a rest when I do. I go and see a mate of mine called Adam Card, AC Sports Massage. He usually sorts me out twice a week to keep on top of it, because the older you get, the more you drink, you can feel niggling a bit. But no, we still work. I still keep up with the lads in the gym. And, if I do feel, oof, no, I'll just taper back a little bit. But I don't feel 34. It's crazy.
It's good to hear. It's good to hear. Is there any experience that you can't buy experience? We know that you can be taught everything, but experience is something you can't buy. Is there anything in terms of your training camp and the way you go around things now that you wish you maybe implemented 5 or 10 years ago, earlier in your career?
I just wish I went to Gary when I started my professional career. I maybe pulled a nutritionist on board probably 2 to 3 years earlier. I've joined up with a man called Sean Aspinall. And honest to God, the last fight, I was still eating all the way up to the fight, to the weigh-in. That's one thing I probably did wish. And also, my strength and conditioner, I probably wish I went with Joel about, a few years earlier. But, we can all learn from that and from the young lads in the gym, like Reese, Kieran and Ben and people like that. I can pass my knowledge down to them. I know they got Gary Lockett, but there's little things that I can pass on to them as well.
Yeah, of course. You're there to advise the younger fighters in the camp. Just a bit off subject, Chris, and we don't want to talk about retirement. It's a little way off yet, but just briefly, is staying in boxing something you think you always do, even when your professional career is done with?
I'd love to, mate. Obviously, I've got to make sure that I provide for my family. So when I do eventually hang the gloves up, I will be working. I'll always keep in contact with Gary. I see him as a father figure for myself, not just a coach. I can speak to him or anything. But I'd love to pop up a gym most weekends when the boys are training, stay around them. But it's hard, because you've got to work. You can't just live on pennies, and the way the economy is, mate, we're going to be working 7 days a week just to survive, by looks of things.
Yeah, unfortunately. So, this fight, of course, as we mentioned, he's going to headline the card in Newcastle. As part of that series of announcements from Matchroom of their schedule for the first half of the year, there was also the card with Cordina and Rakimov, and now that's going to be in Cardiff, in Wales, of course. Was the temptation to try and get on that bill and fight in your home country?
Mate, obviously, if this fight goes great on March 18th, I know I'm boxing on a Matchroom show. So if I win, and I'll just say, be a cheeky little so-and-so and say, already, get my last one Cardiff then. But, I'm not going to run before I can walk. That's the lesson I'm teaching my children. Don't run before you can walk. Let's sort out what we got to do now, and then we look on after that.
Absolutely. How proud of you? How proud are you as a Welshman to see big time boxing back in Wales? You got Rakimov and Cordina in the world title fight. Cordina when he won his world title, and then Liam Williams took on Chris Eubank. Really big fights, big moments, big occasions in Cardiff, in Wales. I'm sure you're very proud of that as a proud Welshman yourself.
Oh, mate, most definitely. I remember back in the day when you had Cleverly, you had all the lads on the big shows and all that, and all of a sudden it just drew away from Wales, and I was like, whoa, what's going on? But then Joey, like I called Giuseppe, I called Giuseppe, he don't like it, but when he won that night, it was just magical for, not just for British boxers, but mainly for the Welsh. Yeah, we've got something, and it gives hope for the lads on the small old shows to get on these big shows, like Ben Crocker was on there. But to be honest with you, Joe Godina's flying the flag now for us, for all the Welsh fighters. Liam Williams is still floating about. He's in the gym, actually, he's looking good. He's waiting for a date. But it'd just be awesome if we can get like 2 to 3 big shows here in Cardiff. And then, who knows? And it's just nice to see Welsh boxing back on the rise a little bit.
Absolutely, I absolutely second that. Chris, I just want to get your thoughts on a few things away from your career. Of course, the boxing landscape is a forever changing thing. One guy that you was kind of linked with throughout a certain stage of your career, and the fight never materialised for one reason or another, was Conor Benn. That would have been a great fight, but it never materialised. But what would you make of this whole saga with Conor Benn, failed drug tests, the postponement of the fight with the bank. From the outside looking in, what did you make of the entire situation?
I don't really look into it too much, obviously I'll have an opinion on it and I'm willing to share that opinion. Um, he's failed a test. That's the be all of end all, When you have a test, if you fail it, you get the B sample. So, if the B sample's also a failure, then I'm sorry, you should be banned from boxing. It's that simple because boxing is a sport where you can die in the ring. We've seen it many times. If you're going to put whatever in your body to make you go up a little bit more than you should really, then, but I don't want to get too involved in it. But if that was somebody in my gym and he done it, I think we'd all be like, oh, mate, you can't box no more, mate.
Yeah, as a professional boxer, Chris, I don't want to put words into your mouth and you can spin it the way you want to spin it, but as a professional boxer, when you see somebody fail a drug test, there's been other boxers, not just Conor Benn in general, but then you see the way there's not one overriding governing body the way there is, with FIFA maybe in football. And it seems to be quite murky with the process of, well, let's get this right. If Conor Benn is innocent, then he's innocent. When something's gone wrong, then everyone will hold their hands up. But all we've seen at the minute is that this failed drug test, and we're not getting any reasoning as to why this is happening. It's been drawn out for months and months and months. How does that make you feel as a professional boxer that you could have fought Conor Benn at one stage? We're using Conor Benn as the example of the headline failure at the minute. How does that make you feel as a pro boxer knowing that you could have got in the ring with Conor Benn and this is kind of going on?
Obviously, that I did question it. I'm lucky in a way I didn't fight him if he was taking anything. But I think the only way obviously, we could have boxed a good few years ago, but mate, it's a sticky one, isn't it? I don't really want to say too much, but the only way you can really find out if you have or haven't taken anything is give him a lie detector test. It's that simple. And if you have had something given to him without his knowledge, I think the people around him should be held accountable for themselves and action should be taken against them because he was on the road, wasn't he? He's looking good. And then all of a sudden then, I think it was 24 hours before the Eubank fight, he gets called off.
Yeah, and then it raises question marks, doesn't it, about things that are going on. As you say, there's no overriding governing body. There's no one really taking accountability for it. You got the WBC, you got the British Boxing Board of Control, and their authorities being called into question. And yeah, it just leaves a lot of grey areas, I guess, Chris. And I don't really know where we go in terms of getting that cleaned up.
Well, as long as I'm not involved in it, then leave all them to stress about it. That's what I think, and that's really my opinion on it, mate. I hope Conor Benn gets found not guilty. He's a good fighter. But everything needs to be addressed once and for all, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Chris, let's go from the negatives to the positives. Fight night will quickly come around 18th of March. We're about 4 weeks out, maybe 4.5
5 weeks.
5 weeks out. So yeah, we go back to the positives. You mentioned off camera that you've been able to secure some sponsorship that's allowed you to train full time. I just want to give you the opportunity to give those guys a shout out and thank them for the great work that they've done in enabling you to train full time for this fight.
Yeah, well, first of all, I've never really had this so much help, if you know what I mean. I've never really asked for it. And I was quite surprised. Well, I'll round them off as quick as I can. We've got Hopkins Log Burners. That's a friend of mine, Sean a Monster. They've come on board. Jones Brothers Fabrication. I know Kevin from helping their rugby team out once, Country Invest. We've got Chapman's Boxing from all the way in Halon in Spain. My mate, he runs a gym over there. Jamie, I'm grateful to him. I've actually been over there. And hopefully one day I'll be going back this year. Construction Safety Solutions in Cardiff. That's Tony Bryant. He's part of the team, really. Pops in the gym here and there. We punch hell out of him when he chucks a body bag on. So it's quite cool. And then finally, we got Paul Watches of Wales. Without all these people jumping on board. I've also had my annual medicals due, so they've helped me out now with paying that off and making sure I've got enough to survive while being in camp, but not having to go to work, as in train in the morning, go to work, and then get home 9 o'clock at night and go for a run and repeat that. So my body doesn't rest. But these people are really a massive help on top of everything, mate. I can't thank them enough.
Yeah, really nice. Whereas I think that's something that goes amiss sometimes. From the outside looking in, you see some of these big TV shows, and you're headlining, and people don't realise the work that goes on behind the scenes and working a 9 to 5, providing for the family. So it's again a big weight lifted off your shoulders to have this kind of support.
Oh, mate, it's massive. I'm doing in camp, doing 600 mile a week and spending about 100 quid a week just on fuel. And I'm just grateful for it, to be honest with you. These people, they don't understand how much they really help me. Like, people don't understand what us fighters do. So I know some fighters now fighting the weekend. Conor McIntosh, he fighting the Welsh title. He actually works on site as I think he's an inspector or something. And he trains, he goes to work and he trains again. But I'm just grateful for them coming on board. This is just gonna give me a big push now and a big boost in camp. Not having to worry about, when am I gonna get money for fuel this week, or I need to get supplements. These people have really saved the bacon, really.
Absolutely, Chris. So just to finish off, I can't not ask for a prediction on fight night. What can the fans expect on March 18th?
A fight. I haven't seen too much of Cyrus. I know he's going to be training hard. He's a good amateur. He's a good pro now. So we'll see. I'm not going in there to make the numbers up. I'm not going to go in there just to get a payday. I'm going in there to win. I want to bring a belt home for my children, and then we'll see who's next. Then.
Absolutely, Chris. Well, I wish you the best of luck. I thank you for your time today, and we'll catch up again real soon.
Top man.